Good morning, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy, and I have an amazing show lined up for you today. I am traveling. I'm in a hotel room. My normal setup is changed, but I had to be here with you, had to bring you these amazing guests. So excuse the light, excuse the background. I'd rather be a little bit in the dark than have no show at all. And just being here in Seattle shouldn't stop you from sharing the show. That's what we want you to do, to go out and be an evangelist for the Roundtable Talk Show. I want you to go find your neighbor, your roommate, your parents, your child, whoever it is that is sleeping the most peacefully right now. I want you to go over to them and wake them up and let them know the Roundtable Talk Show is live, because friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So while you're being an evangelist, while you're doing your part, I'm going to go ahead and do my part and introduce our first guest. And one of the things that I talk about is sometimes I use this show as my therapy, an opportunity to discuss what's on my mind, what I'm going through, and my feelings. And so this morning I was a little concerned. I was a little worried. I was excited about speaking to this guest about tropical rum. Kind of nervous, like it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Should we really be that excited about a drink? I don't know, but I am. I want to introduce you to Miss Dee Tutt. She is the founder. She's going to pronounce her company for you because I mess it up. But Savîle, is it Savîle? Say it. I'm sorry, Dee.
No, but that sounds good. That sounds good. It's Savîle.
Savîle. See,
Tropical Rum Cocktail.
Usually what I do in the pre-show is I say, okay, pronounce your name, pronounce your company, because I tell people I sound so much more intelligent after I get past the introductions. But rum, by any other name, is still rum. I can tell you that. So we're going to talk to her about her story, Ms. Dee Tutt, how she got it started with her own rum company. Now, one of the things that I loved about her story was that sometimes people go into business for the money. They go into business because, they want to be successful. They want to be popular. They want to have all these followers. But Miss Tutt isn't one of those people. She decided that she loves having fun. She loves throwing parties. And her business grew out of simply having fun. Good morning, Dee. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifa, and thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. Should I be concerned? Should I be worried?
No, but we have heard that the flavor is an addictive flavor. So maybe just a little bit.
I don't know. Let me see. We got 3 other guests. Is anybody a therapist? No, okay. But then I'll find somebody else to talk to later about my problems. But you like parties at home. You like talking to people, having friends over, party and that kind of thing.
Yes, I believe it's, Sharifa, I believe it's innate. I come from a large family. I have 5 siblings and was, raised with my mom and dad. And my mom and dad migrated here from Mississippi. And I remember as a young child, every weekend, the house was packed with friends and family having a good time. So I just believe it's innate that I love to have parties at my home and entertain and love to hear, people having a good time.
So why and how did you start mixing up your own drinks? Why not just, get what's off the shelf or a bartender? Why did you decide that you wanted to put your own spin to it?
Well, first of all, I got into this I don't want to age myself, but it's been over 35 years, so almost 4 decades of making what we call what was a rum punch then. And so I wanted to entertain, and back then, that was back in the early 80s. I wanted to entertain. My mom had a lot of people over for a gathering. And she's like, make something that's going to go a long way, that we don't have to buy a lot of mixes. So I created a rum punch. And it went over well back in the early 80s. And through my travels of living in different parts of the United States, from born and raised here in California, moved to New York, Atlanta. I also reside in Chicago area. I would make this drink for my guests. And this drink was always a hit, always, always, always a hit. And so, people talked about it for weeks later. And through my travels to the Caribbean island, this is how I came up with the formulation, is that I would take from my original recipe and just add different things to it that I learned in the Caribbean, and bring it back and test it out on my guests for the next event. And it was until that people kept asking me, can you please, please, please make this for my event, that they encouraged me to just put this product on the market.
Now, one of the things that we deal with is sometimes people have concerns because we're female, or because we don't necessarily have the business experience, or being, a business owner. So taking that leap into solopreneurship, or being a CEO or founder of your own company, sometimes we deal with imposter syndrome. We feel like, who am I to start this? Who am I to build this great business? How did you feel when you stepped into that role?
Well, first of all, Sharifa, was not an easy decision to come to. I was a hairstylist for 19 years. And
your hair is cute, by the way. I like that. It's that, ooh, girl. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, a hairstylist for 19 years, and I was afforded the ability to stay at home and have my salon in my basement. This is in Illinois. And my clients rather, came to my home to get their hair done. And this allowed me to actually stay at home and raise my children. And I had to think about what people were asking me to do. And at first it didn't sit well with me to go out and make an alcohol brand. And it's to me, to many, it's very tasty. And I thought it would get the attention of the younger generation that's not of legal age to have a spirit, to drink spirits. But I thought about, they can get into accidents, I just can't be responsible. But it wasn't until, I went to my higher power to say, Lord, give me the direction and the blessing. And that's when I felt that he gave me that blessing to move forward, that he had my back, even though I had no experience in this venture, that he would have my back and lead me to where I need to go.
So awesome. Where did the Lord lead Savîle?
Well, he led me to just go ahead and take that leap of faith. So what I did was I formed a team of people to help me, because when you have a venture like this, you can't just be inside your own mind. So first of all, my husband, who was one of my greatest cheerleaders to get, push me out there to actually get this product on the market. He's like, babe, I got your back. He's a businessman. My husband, Carl. And then my two children, Patrice and Brandon, who are business majors, and they're doing very well in their careers. And I needed that millennial aspect to see, what's trending. And a couple other people that I entrusted that had operational experience. And then also I have a board that, have they're very intelligent people who have experience in different realms of business, and they help me out along the way as advisories. And then of course I got a mentor in the liquor industry to actually guide me through, basically, and give me the introductions of who I needed to know and what I needed to do.
Wonderful. So are Carl and Patrice and Brandon watching?
I hope so. My daughter has a very challenging job, so hopefully she will watch the tape of it if she's not on live. But I know my son is watching, and I know my husband is watching. And my husband, actually, he's in Illinois right now, and I'm in Los Angeles. So
Oh, wow. So we want to give a shout out to the family for being supportive. One of the things that we talk about on the show all the time is the difference it makes when family members are supportive of your vision or your dream or your business. So I applaud you. Now, Dee, we are going to come back to you. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest. And we were talking about the Caribbean. We were talking about rum. So, of course, that brings us to Miss Michelle Fanus, who has a background or has lived in the Caribbean. But we're going to also talk about her businesses. She has more than one. She has two. She is the author of, oh, excuse me, I done lost myself. How do I get lost in a business? But the conference.
Rum.
Let me count the ways.
That's what I'm saying. I really think it's the rum.
How many have you had?
Michelle, you trying to get me in trouble. If you know what I mean? Like it is 8 o'clock in the morning. If I share that with y'all, they really gonna be locking me up. Oh, but by the way, Brandon says I'm here. So we were just stalling a little bit to get that response from Brandon. But Michelle, I'm having some fun today. I think it's Seattle and I've had 3 hours of sleep. Okay, if y'all go to my social media, y'all saw I was on a ferry. I've been traveling. I was on a flight from Long Beach, flying all day. So I'm a little off. Bear with me. But you know what happens when I'm off? I give you the best show. So back to Michelle Fanus. We're going to talk to her about her business, the confident. I'm off today. That's why I shouldn't do live shows. The conference director. Good morning, Michelle. I'm not introducing no more companies, no more businesses. I'm taking that out of my spiel for this morning. I'm just like, who are you? What do you do? Michelle, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. The conversation about rum was very exciting. Being from the Caribbean, as you say. Lovely.
What time is it where you are, Michelle?
It is 4:10 in the afternoon on a very sunny, warm afternoon in London.
Okay. See, I don't feel bad discussing rum with you.
Because it's that time of the day.
8 o'clock in Seattle. I didn't even gonna show y'all my drink. You have two companies. What made you decide to start being an entrepreneur, a business owner? Is it something that you've done all your life? Or your parents, your family? What got you to this point?
Okay, so yeah, both my parents, my mother's always dabbled a little bit from when I was a child. She was always doing different ventures. She did a little bit of hairdressing, so I can relate to Dee having a hairdresser, a salon in our basement. She's done food, she's done catering. My mom's a bit of a dabbler, very entrepreneurial. And my father has always been self-employed. So he's a self-employed electrician. So he has always worked for himself as well. So yeah, I guess I do come from a family of being independent kind of earners. And I always wanted to be in business. And I said I would be in business by the time I was 40. And I wanted to develop best practice and experience in the events industry. I'm in the events and conference industry. And I joined that when I was 31 and felt that by the time I got to about 39, I was in a job I didn't really enjoy. I built up a fantastic career, 10 years in the business, and landed in a job that I didn't really enjoy. The company was pretty awful. And unfortunately had the unpleasant experience of being bullied by my boss. So that was what kind of pushed me into thinking, it's that time to make that leap of faith and get into business. So, and then we're
gonna go on to the second business, but I like
2 years ago.
Okay, we're gonna talk about the second business, but I love when I find gold, when I hear something that attracts my attention, and I don't want to gloss over it, because we hear about bullying all the time. And usually when we reference bullying, it's in the school system, it's in the kids. So many people have started their businesses because they wanted to prove to other people that they can be successful, that they are not what they said they are. But I very rarely hear about someone who is bullied by their boss. So I'm intrigued. I need to hear more.
Yeah, I mean, it's, in the office environment, that tends to happen quite a lot, actually. And the bullying can be quite a little bit submissive, not very obvious. And I've got quite an extrovert and quite a strong personality. So to hear for somebody to sort of realize that I've been bullied is quite surprising. But but it can happen from a boss or someone that you're reporting to, or a client. You know, I've been bullied by clients as well. So yeah, it's about being undermined and being made to feel that you're not good enough, or being abused verbally. So yes, yeah, it can happen especially if you're working for a boss that has a stronger personality than yours, or may feel intimidated by your strength of character.
No, I can see that. I can see that in your voice. You know, one of the things that I was told when I was in corporate America is they say, Sharifa, you intimidate people. And I would always say, I don't intimidate people. People are intimidated by me. That's a weakness on their part, not something that I'm doing to make them feel this way. So it's just interesting because we talk a lot about the workplace and sometimes how we feel in the workplace. So I definitely understand that. Let's talk about your second business.
My second business came about from my passion for service and to be of service to humanity. So I'm a keen and strong advocate of the practice of yoga. I think yoga is transformative, it's transformed and changed my life. So I wanted to share this wonderful practice with the world. But also I wanted to, in the last sort of 5 years, I've developed quite a wonderful circle of friends of yoga teachers. And I think that they are unsung heroes. They work very hard. They, have hearts of service, and they're very, very much probably underpaid. So I wanted to develop something that would give back to them, give them some profile, and share the wonderful practice of yoga with the world. So I developed an online yoga platform called Dynamic Yoga, and it's pre-recorded tutorials around getting into the practice of yoga. And because it's become very popular now, but it's taught in classes, but it's not necessarily taught at a basic level, so what you're supposed to be doing with your body, how you're supposed to feel, and all of that. Typically people just tend to just join classes, and whatever they pick up is whatever they pick up from the teacher. Not all teachers teach the same. So I wanted to develop a program, an online program that was tutorial based, very basic level. And then off the back of that, which is typical in business, you think you're going in one direction and then other opportunities present themselves. So I was then brought back to the event organizing, and retreats presented themselves. So one of the teachers I'm working with, she said, "Oh, I really want to do this retreat. Will you help me?" And me being an organizer, I said, "Sure, sounds like fun." So yeah, we did our first retreat last year to Tuscany. It was beautiful. So that's what we do now. Obviously, everything's on hold now. I don't want to talk about it. I've had to pause our next retreat to Sicily, which should have been last week. I'm over it now, because if it was this time last week, it might have been a little bit sensitive. Yeah, so everything's postponed to next year. So we do retreats, corporate programs, outreach yoga work, a lot of community work as well. Love the community and work with the community, tasters and education around yoga and its benefits, yoga, meditation and mindfulness. So that's my passion business.
I love it. JB?
That's Michelle, that's totally awesome. That you've been able to combine all of those components into a vision for how you want to live your life. That's sweet. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it was something that I had at the back of my mind. I thought, what can I do to help? And it's one of those ones that you just park and then there it was one day. I thought, that's it. That's the one.
Right.
So yeah, and they were all on board. I had 5 teachers. They said, yeah, we'll do it. They've recorded all the material, and yeah.
Wow, it sounds interesting. We're going to learn more about you, who you are, and what you do. Since he's introduced himself, because he wanted to go ahead and join the conversation, which I love. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest and bring him into the conversation, Mr. JB Herrera, and he is Perceptive Insights. He's a senior executive, entrepreneur, business growth, strategy thought leader, and he has turned around many companies. Good morning, JB. How are you?
Thank you, Sharifa. I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking. And thanks for letting me be on the program. This is a great honor for me. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. So my question is, why do you have so many doors?
So life, as in, personal life as well as business, is all about choices, right? And Dee's made choices, Michelle's made choices, and I'm sure we'll hear from our other Michelle here shortly. But the question that you really have to think about is, which is the right choice? And sometimes life takes you in different places. Sometimes the right choice is really the one that's right between your ears.
Oh, wow. That's clever.
Love that. And I just came out of nowhere because I'm watching the show and I'm like, why are those doors all back there? And I didn't see the yellow door. So now this just feels so magical. I don't know why. I didn't see the blue peel or the red peel. It's amazing. And you know what I love though, is when I ask a guest a question that I may stump them a little bit, or I want to think where their mind is or their ability to think on their feet. That was a good answer. We didn't even rehearse this. That was really a good answer.
Yeah, it's over 35 years working with small businesses. I mean, I do a lot of consulting. Right now, I think I have about 26 different clients. And it's interesting. I just looked at my list of clients. All 25 of them are women-owned businesses.
Oh, wow. So you're in good company today.
Oh, yeah. This is like home for me, right? And what's really interesting is being able to kind of go through and grow with people over time. Just as this is kind of therapy for you, working with people is really the therapy for me. It helps me grow to be the best man that I can be. Gets me through all of those other, stereotypes of how men should treat women, how women should treat men, how you should be in business and how communication works. It's all about choices. Which door do you want to come out of? Which one do you want to go into? And I'm constantly aware of that.
Have you ever been bullied at work?
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely. Wow. So, I mean, one of the very first times was way back after I came out of law school, and one of my first jobs was running the contracts department of a large technology company. And my job was to approve contracts. So they multi-million-dollar contracts at the time were a pretty big deal. And my boss said, okay, we need to get this contract signed before the end of the quarter because we need our numbers to be done. And I said, okay, as long as the contract comes in, I'm willing to sign off on it. Well, it didn't. It didn't come in. And I got tons of pressure from him to, just predate it. We need that contract. That's going to make our number. It's going to, the public's going to be fine. Our stock price is going to go up. And those are the moments that you have to say to yourself, what's most important in your life? How do you want to live your life? What are your values? And I made a choice at that time that's kind of guided me for the rest of my life up to this point, which is there are certain things I'm not going to do. And I'm not going to lie that way. So I chose not to do that. Obviously, I got into a lot of trouble. But he wanted to, move me off to the side. He wanted to demote me. And I said, no, I will not cross that line, period. And for a period of probably, 60 days or something, it was like the worst time ever.
Oh, wow.
So eventually I got my moment where I could present my case to the CEO of the company and some of the members of the board of directors. And eventually that person was let go. And, I moved on to my career. I left that company about 6 months later and moved into a much higher position. So one door closes and another one opens.
We love the doors. I love how you just work that into every conversation. I like that. I like you. Now, let me just ask you this. One of the things is like in business, I love business. I love talking about business, and it's not just the financial aspect of it. To me, it's more about the deal, the art of the deal. Like I'm one of those people who love to negotiate, right? But when you think about business, you can break it down into so many categories. And one of the things you and I have in common is that I'm that person that they usually send into a business when everything else hasn't worked. Like I'm the miracle worker. And so you turn around companies, which is when they need that that miracle. And one of the things that I always often tell people is they hire me because they're like, Sharifa, you have a background in .coms. You have a background in startups. You are known for raising capital, raising millions of dollars. And then they like, we need your help. And they bring me in and then they say, okay, this is what we want you to fix. This is what we want you to do. This is how you need to do it. And I'm like, wait a minute. You called me because you needed a miracle. If you knew how to perform the miracle, you wouldn't need me. So do you find that in your line of work as well, turning around companies?
Oh, absolutely. I've started 8 companies of my own. I've been involved with 6 different turnarounds. And that's generally the experience that I've had as well. Generally, what will happen is somebody will come in and they'll okay, we need you to do this, 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 and this. And we don't want to either A, compensate you for it, or
Right.
B, we don't give you the resources for it.
Right.
I'm going, thank you very much. Don't let the door hit your butt on the way out. Right? Because at the end of the day, you know, if you're really aligned in the direction that you're going, that stuff doesn't make a bit of difference. Do you trust me? Do you not trust me? Give me an opportunity to take the next couple of steps that are going to be required in order to get you to where you need to be. Yes. And if not, then it's a waste of your time and money, and it's a waste of my time and money. And you know what? Life is too short for that.
Yes, because
so,
sometimes,
you know, at some point you say to yourself, you know, again, what is it that what is it you stand for? Got to have those core values aligned and prioritized.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Raylene in the chat says, I love it. What are your values? So she's definitely agreeing with you. JB, I'm going to come right back to you. I want to go over and introduce our next guest, Miss Michelle Harthill. She is amazing as well. 2 companies as well. She talks about Harthill Marketing and her marketing services, but she's also very passionate about her other business, Michelle. Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you for having me. I very much appreciate being on this morning with you.
I appreciate you being here. And
I'll have to apologize because I keep losing my connection.
It's okay. No apology needed. We can hear your voice. We have you here with us. And I think that's the most important thing. But I love talking to marketing people. What I found with marketing people is that they all have their own special gifts, something that they focus on, something, you know, that special talent that no one else can do. So talk to us about Harthill Marketing, please, Michelle.
Sure. So I started Harthill Marketing Services. It'll be 21 years ago in December.
Congratulations.
At the very naive age of 26 years old, I took my leap of faith. Working for an agency, I was the account director on a business called ConAgra Foods, which is a globally known CPG company. Excuse me. So the agency itself practiced very unethical practices. So can you hear me still? Am I cutting out?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
So the agency unethical practices. Hear me still? Am I cutting out? Am I with you? I took that leap of faith and I started my own. Right? Okay, leap of faith. I left the agency, started my own agency, and I took ConAgra Foods. What's unique about the business is that it was within what's called the military channel. So the military has bases worldwide, and they have what's called a commissary and an exchange. And a commissary is like a glorified grocery store. So the business that I had was for ConAgra Foods, managing all their marketing, in-store marketing, shopper marketing practices for all their businesses. And because I saw that there was a disconnect between these globally known CPG companies and a marketing agency, I took it upon myself to kind of build that business by going after other CPG companies. So I quickly acquired PepsiCo, Johnson & Johnson, Kimberly-Clark, Kraft Heinz, and many, many others. So that's kind of where my journey started. And I've been doing that now still for 21 years. About 5 years ago, I partnered with a local sales broker agency owned by a wonderful woman named Sabrina Pierce. We met through Network of Executive Women, which we are both very involved with. And she was just starting out, and she was very focused on emerging newer to market brands, as to get these newer emerging brands into the marketplace throughout the West Coast, leading throughout the US. She asked me to be her marketing arm. So I was going to oversee all the marketing strategy and brand building for her clients. Now, Hard Hill Marketing Services, and I'm backstepping for a second. Back when I started, I was very, very focused on developing marketing programs that drove sales off from in stores. So driving unit sales, volume sales from the stores to the shopping carts and out the door. As the years have gone on, and I've kind of had to diversify my talents, I've been able to then expand the reach of what we offer as an ad agency, a marketing agency. And as I partnered with Navigator Sales and Marketing, as I mentioned, these emerging brands were needing brand building efforts. So it became a kind of across the board strategic approach to driving awareness, driving engagement, having people understand the brand's story and the value that the brand and the product brought to someone. And she was working with more better for you brands. So mostly food and beverage, but they were all in that better for you space. So as I became embedded in these brands and quickly became a partner of these brands, understanding what value they did bring, that kind of aligned me to start researching and developing my second business, which launched just recently, June 1st of this year, which is Michelle.com, that only sells natural, organic, and eco-friendly products owned by women-owned brands. And that's kind of the unique hook of it. So people have said, well, why just women-owned brands? Why just natural products? Well, so as I became embedded in the industry, understanding what value they did bring, my second business, which launched, which is Michelle.com, place that only sells products owned by women, hook of it. So people have natural products. Well, natural huge growth potential over the next 5 to 10 huge leap in sales, even seeing a substantial growth because of COVID, as most know. Most importantly, most of the brands in this natural, organic, eco-friendly space are owned by women. And what my passion aligns with is partnering and helping and assisting women in business. So my strategy has been not only to bring the best natural, organic, eco-friendly products to our consumers, but by partnering with these women-owned brands, we're building this together. So I'm helping them with their marketing, both on Michelle and away from Michelle. I'm helping to build that rapport with them so I understand what is needed to make their brands the standouts they need to be. And it's super cool. Every single time I talk to a new brand that's interested in selling on Michelle, I love hearing the passion in her voice, the motivation in her voice, the that she has to really bring her brand to fruition. Dee, I heard it in your voice, which I absolutely love, love, love. And I think that's a part of what my journey has been.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to come back to you, Michelle. Dee, passion in your voice. Why are you so passionate about being in business?
Yes.
You know what, Michelle? It's so funny. I'm sitting here listening to you, and you're talking about your criteria for your platform, and you are so right. When I first launched my brand, I was discouraged to continue. They said, hey, you know, of course, this is an industry where it's dominated by the white males, and they discouraged me for putting out a brand that's all natural, gluten-free, no artificial preservatives, vegan. You know, they said, no one cares about that. No one cares about that. Where, you know, I had to say, well, you know what? This is what I believe in, because we have to at some point acknowledge what we're putting in our bodies, even though it's alcohol, but acknowledge what we're putting in our bodies. Because I believe that artificial preservatives, that's why we have so many diseases today. So I commend you for having a platform like that.
Michelle? Did we lose Michelle? Well, I'm gonna go back over to.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm gonna go back over to JB for a minute. We're talking about women in business, and one of the things that you spoke about is that there are so many women who surround you. Now, when I wanted to ask you earlier, when you talk about turning around companies, do you ever see any themes or any traits as far as what makes for the most successful companies? Or when you go in and you look at those companies, because I believe you said you turned around 6 companies, what were some of the common traits? You know, maybe they weren't listening to the women. Maybe they need to hire more women in executive places. Maybe it had absolutely nothing to do with women at all. But what are some of the things that you see within these companies that help them to help you to turn them around?
So I think the biggest thing was what Dee described when she described her business, right? That she surrounded herself with people that were experts in that particular area of the business. That was the first thing. And the second thing is the executive who was in charge was coachable, right? Whether it's a male or a female, it doesn't matter. If you're not coachable, you're not coachable. I mean, my father was a professional baseball player, right? And so I was raised on sports and sports metaphors and everything else. If you're not coachable, if you're not willing to say, yes, I get it, maybe I need to improve, I need to work on this, then your business by default is going to fail by default. The second thing is, I think it's being able to understand the core. This goes to where Michelle is with respect to marketing. You really have to understand your unique selling proposition. This goes back to the 1960s, right? You know, you have to understand what the features and benefits of your business is. The second thing is you have to have a bold claim. And the third is you have to have something that's uniquely you that your competitors cannot or will not do. So Dee has it by default. Right. Michelle has it by default. Both Michelle. Right. So you're positioned already to take the next step in the business that you want to take. Because there's always 3 components. There's stabilizing your business, there's growing your business, and then there's scaling your business. And that's the other part that I've seen that's even including in my businesses. When I've got those messed up, that's when you go, boom, it doesn't work.
Yes.
So having those in a step-by-step process that you can actually work through is really, I think, one of the keys to moving forward and being successful.
I like that. I also like the sports aspect, because when I'm speaking with my clients, one of the things that I talk about is this whole thing, which I consider the Hail Mary pass. Like, to me, that is one of the first things I talk about with a company. And for me, what a Hail Mary pass is that people will start a business with nothing in their pocket, with nothing in reserve, no money in the bank account. They have nothing. They just quit their day job because they hated their boss. He was bullying them. And they said, I am out of here. I'm going to work for myself. And then when it comes time to market their business or build their business or go file their papers, they have no money. So they have to figure out how to do a Hail Mary pass to make this business work. And I'm like, you don't want to do that. You don't want miracles to happen every time you want to grow your business. What you want to do is, you know, figure it out and plan it out so that it is sustainable and you don't need a miracle. Right. And it's interesting. I mean, I would bet that every person here in their business has had this experience, you know, especially as the pandemic hit this year. Everybody talked about pivoting. I'm going to pivot to this, pivot to that, blah, 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 blah. A pivot is a good thing when that moment in time is also part of a decision point that you've already preset. Right. So if you're pivoting, generally it means something is hit you and you have to react. Yes. Right. It's a normal tendency for us to say, as a small business, we're going to continue to do the things that have always got us to the point that we're at. Right. But, you know, a great business mentor of mine has always said, you know, what got you here isn't going to get you there. So that's simple, but I like it. Yeah. So we call it pre-play, sports metaphor again. Yes. Right? You pre-play, if this happens, what might I want to do? Okay, so you put it out there and you say, okay, what happens if all my current customers decide to go to my competitor? What's that going to do to my business? Right. Oh, well, here's what I'd have to think through. Right.
those are the types of things that the wise CEO who surrounds him or herself with people who are willing to ask that question, and if they're willing to face that question, they're gonna weather the storm. And you will take different turns, because what you start out with in your business is not what it is going to turn out to be at the end.
Absolutely. Michelle F., you were talking about just that, weathering that storm, because if any industry was hit hard, it was the yoga industry, it was the gyms, it was the fitness, it was the wellness, it was where people who wanted to go outside the house to take care of themselves. So what are some of the things that you did in order to pivot?
So, I mean, my first business is an event. So, you know,
Right.
That's dire right now. So, but we have some green shoots. So I was working on a number of projects that got postponed. I didn't have clients that were brave enough to venture online. So the client I was working with postponed their event from March next year to October. And that's the project I've just started working on again. So I've not worked for 6 or so months. But so happy to be working again. But thankfully, I was teaching. So that's why you have to have the kind of multiple streams of income. So otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now, smiling.
I think you'd have found a way. I think you would have found a way. That's what happens.
I'm pretty determined. Yeah.
It's like something happens and we're like, we have to make it work.
Absolutely.
Let's go, you know.
Absolutely.
And something that you said about the whole 6 months reminds me of a post that I made on social media. And usually I'm pretty calm, and sometimes I make posts and I don't even really kind of think about it. And this was one such post where I had actually not even written the post. I had shared someone else's post. It was a little picture, and it basically said, if you are not using this opportunity to better yourself, then you are missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. And that was literally the gist of the entire post. No, but do you know, I thought it was cool, but do you know, I received so much flack and pushback and comments to that. People were like, no, Sharifa, if you don't want to do anything, that's okay too. You may have been working for 30 years or 40 years, and maybe you want to lay on the couch for 6 months. Maybe you need this time to bond with your kids. Like, you don't have to do something, you know, because in this society.
Why do people feel that they need to respond to that? The post isn't for you, clearly. You're talking to people who feel that they've parked things and procrastinated. That's who that post is for. Obviously, the people who need the time out and the break and to just spend time with their children, they can go do that. But that post isn't for you. I used the lockdown to pivot, rethink, review my strategy, have a look at who my clients were, what I enjoy, and I rebranded my business completely. I'm the conference director now, but my business was called Dynamic Events before the lockdown. So I completely rebranded, did a new website, and going after the sort of top sort of 20% clients, you know, that 80-20 rule thing.
Yes.
I realized that they're the clients I have the most fun with. That's where I add the most value to. They get me, I get them, we have loads of fun, and we're singing. So I'm just going after clients like that. And I became a very, very much a generalist and was doing all sorts of different events. And I thought, I'm just diluting my offer here. And also the competition becomes more intense when you do generic events rather than the niche events that I'm used to. Competition's short, the competition's less, you know, and you can get those sort of higher end clients more easily. So I completely pivoted and rebranded. That's how I used the time. I was grateful for the time to think and stop, actually. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Do you want to say something?
No, I was just listening to what you were saying, and I just, you know, I'm a true believer that, you know, this is happening for a reason, although, you know, this is very extreme that we're in this pandemic at this time. But sometimes you do need to just sit back and rethink and focus on what is important in life, you know, and how you want to proceed in life and what makes you feel good. You know, I'm one of those people, my son says that, you know, I have ADD. He's like, Mom, can you sit down and, you know, just enjoy the moment. But, you know, I'm always thinking, you know, of things to do and ways to get it done. And, you know, I was listening to Michelle, the other Michelle, and she was talking about marketing. And, you know, this is a difficult time, and we had to pivot as JB was saying, pivot to, okay, now we can't go into the stores and do the tastings because a lot of people, they don't want to try a new brand that they've never tasted. But when we had tastings, people enjoyed the brand, they purchased the brand. Well, now we can't do that due to the pandemic. So we had to refocus. And now we basically, we send people to our website through social media. If they're interested in in our cocktail, and they can purchase from a retailer on our website. Now, the other thing is that we have to rely on people like you, Sharifa, to say, hey, you know what? I tried this great new rum drink and you should try it. So, that's basically because right now, at this point in time, we don't have the big dollars to do mass marketing for on the media. So we're relying on social media and word of mouth.
Well, you know what, Dee, you may not be able to say it, but I'm going to say it then. I tried your wonderful tropical rum and I love it. I thought it was amazing. I thought it had its own unique taste. That's what I like. And I'm not going to say this in an alcoholic kind of way because I'm not, but I like to drink. You know what I mean? I do. I'm one of those people at the end of the day, I like to sit down and have a nice, relaxing drink, especially in COVID, because you can't go out to happy hour. You can't do anything. So I was like, this is good. And the thing about it, why it struck me so much is that whenever I go to a bar, I am not one of those people, not that I go to the bar often, people don't go checking me in after this show.
No judging.
Right.
I feel a little vulnerable to that, but I never know the names of the drinks, and I'm always like, well, give me something with a little fruit, because I figure if it has some kind of fruity taste, I'll be able to drink it. I don't like bitter. I don't like sharp, I guess is the word. I love, if it's a fruity drink, I'll be fine. So I love the whole tropical vibe, the tropical taste. So I love it. The other thing that I wanted to say to you, Dee, is that I built my first website in 1994. One of the last companies that I worked for, we raised $6 million in an IPO. I don't do any advertising. I don't do any marketing. 99% of my customers that I do either website design for, business consulting for, or marketing come from just referrals or social media. And I used to think like, oh, once I get big, then I'll get this, advertising budget. And but even when I started advertising, it never converted in the way that referrals have done for me. So what I would recommend is let's talk to JB and Michelle. Let's come up with some ideas on organically, because I'm seeing JB just nodding his head. You agreeing or disagreeing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. I'm all on. In fact, I have, I coach a group of restaurateurs and bar owners. And ironically enough, Michelle, also event managers. And they're doing more, they're having higher profits now than they've ever had. Higher profits. And haven't lost any revenue either. Because what they've done is they've created an experience based on those unique selling propositions, those elements that we discussed. And they're attracting people through social media in a way that they never would have thought about before. Never. Right. And Michelle Harthill can talk about that from a marketing perspective, right? How important it is to get out there if you're trying to grow and then scale. It's a different way of thinking. Some of the wineries that I represent, one here down in San Diego, it's a I guess I would call it a suburban winery, right? So they do all of the pressing here, but all of the wines are grown up in Paso Robles. So their business stopped, obviously. No tastings, nothing. So we got them to create a brand new product line that you could create using, marketing using podcasts and webinars and such that connected people. Because whether it's distilled spirits or wine or it's food, it's all about the connection that happens between people, right? So if you're thinking about it from that perspective, then you can actually take what's unique about what you do, touch that connection, because people buy based on emotion. And that's what you do. You bring people together. So yeah, it'd be fun to kind of have a chat and see how we could actually ratchet things up see how we can make that
Absolutely.
happen.
Yes, and it reminded me, JB, of a client that I had before that I worked with. I helped turn her around, and
Yep.
she actually was a bartender. And
Yeah.
what she started doing during COVID is doing like these mini parties. But if you went to her website, it
Mhm.
said, "We bring the bar to you." And I rebranded her, and I said, "No, don't bring the bar, bring the party." Right?
Yes.
Because we all
Exactly.
know that all you need is a few friends and a couple of bottles, and you have a party. So
That's it.
Yep.
sometimes it's those little changes that
Yep.
make the difference. But Michelle Harthill, I wanted you to just give some thoughts on what JB and what we were discussing with Dee.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with you, JB. And I would say too that Dee, it's really about the people you surround yourself with. I'm huge on relationships, the people that I've had in my circle for 20 plus years. They're still my go-tos. So let me and my circle become a part of your circle. I have tons of ideas to share with you, and some people who I think could help you excel quickly, because it sounds like your product is indeed amazing. I love your packaging. So let's definitely connect after the show. I would love to help you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Boom, right?
Sure.
That's what we do here at the round table. That's my belief, is that we just sit down and talk about it and discuss things that's going on. We can make a difference in our lives and in our businesses. And I'm so passionate about business and why I ran for city council, because I really believe that small businesses are the heart of America, heart of the
Amen.
world. Let me say,
Right.
sorry, Michelle Fanus, but the heart of the world. And what happens to the human body when your heart stops? Right? So we have to revigorate it with more entrepreneurs, more business owners. And that's what we're all here to do, is to help not only the viewers, but other guests as well. So Michelle Finals, you were listening to this. We were talking about Dee, we were talking about marketing. What are your thoughts on Dee's rum and marketing ideas?
So I think that you cannot underestimate the referral and the word of mouth. I mean, your whole business is based on that, on the
Right.
whole, the experience and scaling that and just getting that feedback. So I've done advertising. I've burnt my fingers and spent a lot of money on advertising, and I've got 0 clients. So it doesn't work for everyone. My business is based on referral marketing and getting one event and then doing well, and then getting 2 or 3 or 4 from the same client. So that repeat business. So yeah, build on that. Free PR is amazing as well. So get people to talk about what you do the writing and the sending, magazines and newspapers, local newspapers, I'm sure it works the same in the US, are always looking for new content and new products. They're always happy to write about new products. A trick that I learned from Michelle Mona, I don't know if you know Michelle Mona, she's a global lingerie entrepreneur. One of the things that she did when she was launching her business is she selected 100 advocates. So that's celebrities that she wanted to get her products out to, and she sent them samples. So you may want to think about that. Who do you want to talk about your brand? Send them some samples.
I'll be more than happy to stand up and
happy to UK representative right here. So
we just moved
and distributor in the Caribbean. So to get to think about that, Michelle Mona, that was a real light bulb moment for me. I thought if I had a product, that would be one of the things I would do, is get those advocates and those celebrity people that you might want to get that brand. Got beautiful packaging, beautiful design. Get it out to those people.
Get it
and
in their hands.
They can be your advocates. And
Absolutely.
don't forget to follow up, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was talking to someone the other day who's a baker who wanted to get their products out, and they were baking and posting the pictures on Instagram. And so I was reviewing their work and reviewing their marketing strategy. And one of the things I asked her, so why are you doing all this baking? Are you making these many sales? She was like, no, but I have to bake anyway because I want to do samples. So whether I have customers or clients, I'm just baking. I said, you know what? Let me give you a suggestion. If you're just going to bake, sponsor events. You know what I mean? You already have baked.
Right.
Sponsor an
great idea.
organization, sponsor a nonprofit. You've already built it, you know what I mean? Give it away so that it can have a return on that investment that you already put into it. So you might want to consider that as well, Dee. There's so many different things that you can do. Another suggestion or idea for you that you may know, may not know, but I believe in giving people an idea. That's one of my philosophies. I don't wait for them to ask for this or that. I give them an idea. And one example of that is one of the industries that's really trying to come back is the wedding industry. You know what I mean? People been locked up for 6 months. We got babies on the way. They want to go ahead and get married. Now they can't have the 200, 100, 500 person wedding, but many weddings are in. Anything mini is in. So I would start making suggestions like advertising campaigns, social media campaigns for, if you're, however you phrase it, but if they're having a wedding, they're going to have a reception, right? So you give them the idea to bring your brand in as a part of what they're doing, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a baby shower. People right now are, and plus remember today, happy equinox, happy fall to everyone. Today is the first day of fall. And what do we learn about fall? It's the time for family, right? So people are going to be getting together for the next 3 months, no matter what happens, COVID, global pandemic. And I would write a list, 10 things, 10 occasions people get together for, and build a campaign around each and one of those occasions. That's what I suggest. Now we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives, and simply let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And Michelle Harthill, we didn't get to hear from you too much. We had a couple of technical difficulties. So briefly, I want to go ahead and start with you.
Well, thank you so much for having me on today. I think my takeaway to those watching would be to visit michelle.com and email me and tell me what you think. I'm building a community, so it's very important to me that I hear from those that are coming to the site. It's also very important that those who have natural products and would like representation on michelle.com, I'd love to hear from you as well. So I encourage anyone and everyone to reach out to me. My email is on the site itself, michelle.com, and I would love to connect and partner with you.
Now, your name is Michelle, but let's go over the spelling of your website.
Yes, my name is Michelle. The website is meschell.com.
Okay, so a little different. But we do have the link in the post, but I just wanted to make sure for the people who are taking notes right now and listening live that they go to the correct website. I'll definitely check it out. I visited, it was really great, but I have to see if I can find a way to incorporate Ask Sharifa, because I love being a part of community building and growing. So let's really see what we can do to grow together. Thank you.
I would love I would love
absolutely.
that. Yes.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Michelle Finus, what do you have for us?
Oh, wow. It's been such a pleasure, and I've had a hoot. It's been a blast. I guess it'd be interesting. I mean, my rebrand would be great to get feedback from you. I've got some positive feedback so far. Always good to get feedback. My website is theconferencedirector.com. And then, of course, I have a second business. So why not pass by and look at my yoga material? There's lots of free videos on there. Go on there, and there's lots of articles and things like that to inform about yoga. So pass by and say hi. And that's dynamicyoga.com. Thank you.
I'm going to check it out. Okay. But I always tell people, my whole brand is Ask Sharifa, but you may not want to ask Sharifa, because I'm
ready for the feedback.
I'm going to give you my truth as I know it, based on the last 30 years of doing what I do. But I guarantee you, if you listen, you'll be more profitable. So thank you for that. Dee, what do you have for us?
Well, I would love for your audience to please, try our brand. If you like a nice, refreshing, hey, if you haven't had a vacation this year, I say pop open a can of Savîle, and that's Savîle spelled Savile, and our website is savîlecocktails.com. pop open a can of Savîle and you will feel like you're in the Caribbean. It's a smooth, refreshing taste, not too sweet, just right. Pour over ice and get your party started, whether you're home alone or with a group of friends.
I love it. So you can have your own vacation at home. I think that message alone is like the key theme of this global pandemic. We couldn't go where we wanted to go, so we figured out ways to feel like we were there at home. So I want to feel like I'm in the Caribbean. I love it. Thank you, Dee. JB, what do you have for us?
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to participate today, Sharifa. I really appreciate it. If there are small businesses out there that are really struggling to try and get back open, and try to figure out how to stabilize, grow, and then scale their business, you can reach out to us at perceptiveinsights.com. My email is jbh@perceptiveinsights.com. We focus really on core values first, and then we prioritize those so that we can deliver a business strategy that will help you define the decision points that will enable you to pivot successfully and be profitable. So
that's right, because you don't want to pivot and not be profitable.
That's right. Pivot and be profitable.
People have been doing that for 6 months, and we don't want to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you all for Dee.
I just say cheers to you all. I know it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and have a taste and let Savîle take you away.
Cheers.
It's
5 o'clock here in
Love
London.
it.
Yes, let Savîle take you away. I love it. I'm waiting for it. After we end this show, it's going to take me away because obviously I need some rest. But I just want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I enjoyed the conversation. I learned from each of you, and this was really a great show. I also want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch the show live, or if you watched it in the archives. We still appreciate your support, and you can still go ahead and share the show. Whether you watched it 2 days from now, 2 months, 2 years, it really doesn't matter. The information that we provide to you is still relevant. Now, if you are interested in more ways that I can help your business, or maybe you're interested in picking up your tickets to my Powered by Purpose 2-day empowerment teleconference, which is October 9th and 10th, or maybe you're interested in being a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, whatever it is, visit my website at asksharifa.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye now.